Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief, proudly brought to you by Lay of the Land and myself, Rolene Marks. And before we barrel off into the weekend and head off to the beach or a working air conditioner, let's take a look at those top stories. And we begin with the story of the week, clearly not the flavor of the week. I can assure you that whether it's chunky monkey or cinnamon buns, clearly not everybody's favorite flavor at the moment. And that is the Ben & Jerry's debacle. Earlier this week, the board of Ben & Jerry's, operating independently of their holding company, Unilever, said that they will no longer be selling their ice cream to what they are calling the occupied Palestinian territories. But what they didn't bank on is that 35 US states have adopted anti-BDS legislation, and the question is, will Texas become the first state to enact those BDS laws? And it looks very, very possible. The Dallas Morning Star reporting that the Texas State Comptroller is reviewing the comments and the legality around this, and Texas could be the first state to officially blacklist Ben & Jerry's. Meanwhile, just hours ago, Unilever's CEO has reiterated to our Prime Minister that his company is absolutely committed to staying in Israel. Unilever is the parent brand of Ben & Jerry's. However, they are reporting a slight decrease in their profits, and they attribute this to inflation and exchange rates as a result of the global pandemic. But how have Israelis responded to this? Israelis have been taking to the shops and purchasing vast amounts of cartons of Ben & Jerry's. And the reason for this is that we want to support the local manufacturer. Ben & Jerry's, Israel has the license or the franchise to manufacture the ice cream. And should this end, which it looks likely to at the end of 2022, it would see hundreds of Israelis and many, many Palestinians out of work. So we will follow the story very, very closely. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Bennett said to Unilever that Israel will respond quite vigorously to this campaign, and the main concern now is not just the discriminatory element, but ensuring that Ben & Jerry's Israel remains in Israel and that people keep their jobs. In other news, the Biden administration have announced that they will not be opening their U.S. consulate building as a de facto consulate for the Palestinians in Jerusalem. This comes at the request of Israel's Foreign Ministry and Prime Minister's office, and the reason for this is they want to see if a budget can be passed. Meanwhile, in other great news from a diplomatic front, it has been announced just a short while ago that Israel will rejoin the African Union, albeit with observer status. And our Foreign Minister Yair Lapid held this and said that this is a great moment for Israel's relations with Africa, and congratulated the various missions on the continent for helping to make this come about. And the other day we spoke to you about a phone call that took place between Defense Minister Benny Gantz and the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. Well, another unprecedented phone call has taken place, and that is between the Public Security Minister Omer Bar-Lev and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. This is a number of times that the high-level Israeli officials this past week have spoken to Abbas, one of the first being speaking to our new president, Isaac Herzog. So while we don't want to presume anything yet or jump the gun yet, the fact that these conversations are taking place and are being made public is extremely significant, and hopefully a giant step towards some kind of negotiation or some kind of discourse. Are you paying attention, Ben & Jerry's? And our last story really, really warms my heart, and I know it will warm yours as well. Israel has welcomed a delegation of Iranian dissidents and expats who are visiting the country on a solidarity mission. The group started their tour in Jerusalem visiting Yad Vashem, Israel's National Holocaust Memorial and Museum, as well as visiting the Kotel, that's the holiest site in Judaism. It's what remains of our temple. And today they are visiting the communities on the border with Gaza, and they have expressed their solidarity for Israel and how thrilled they are to be here. Well, we are thrilled to have you guys here, and please make this a habit. So those are our top stories making headlines, but with one day to go to the Tokyo Olympics, we proudly stand behind Team Israel. Do us proud, Team Israel. Bring those medals home. Very moving pictures coming in from the Olympic Village earlier as the big blue and white is unfurled over the Israeli section of the Olympic Village. So we will be keeping our eyes glued to the telly to see how well our favorite team will be performing. But as we head into the weekend and you look for content to read, don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Like, follow, share our Facebook page. We know that Facebook is starting to clamp down on what they are calling conservative news. That apparently includes us. So if you like what you see, please share as much as possible. Also, don't forget to check us out on YouTube. We're at the Israel Brief. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button and you'll be notified every time we bring you those headlines. And if that wasn't enough, we're also on Twitter at LayOfTheLand5. Hit us with a hello and most certainly hit that follow button. So from myself, Rolene Marks, the team at Lay of the Land, and the team at the Israel Brief, which really largely is just me, I want to wish you all a safe, a healthy, a peaceful weekend. Shabbat Shalom wherever in the world you are. Stay safe. We'll see you again next week.